Before The Blacklist became one of the most addictive shows of the decade, there was chaos behind the camera, rewrites, power struggles, and one man's obsession with secrecy. James Spader didn't just play Raymond Reddington, he became him, blurring the line between the actor and the criminal mastermind in ways most fans never realized. From government-level secrecy on set to actors being deliberately misled about their own storylines, The Blacklist wasn't just a thriller on screen, it was a riddle behind the scenes. And today, we're going to uncover 10 of the darkest secrets NBC tried to keep buried. This is the truth behind The Blacklist, the lies, the genius, and the real story of how Raymond Reddington's world nearly consumed everyone who entered it. Secret number 1, the identity that almost never was. Before James Spader ever put on that fedora, The Blacklist was nearly a completely different show. Early scripts didn't even have Raymond Reddington as the charming sociopath we know. The original concept focused on a rogue FBI agent hunting a global spy network. No charisma, no philosophy, and definitely no villain you could love. When Spader auditioned, he changed everything. His calm pauses, strange humor, and unpredictable tone didn't fit the character, but that's exactly why it worked. Producers were divided, some thought he was too odd, too cold, but when NBC executives saw his test footage, they said, "That's him, that's Reddington." What most people don't know is that Spader rewrote many of his own lines. Those long speeches, the ones that sound too poetic for a crime drama, were often his improvisations. That's why Reddington feels alive, because Spader didn't just act the part, he built it. Without that choice, The Blacklist might have been just another FBI procedural lost in 2013's lineup. Instead, it became a masterclass in how a villain can teach us more about morality than the heroes ever could. Secret number 2, the silent war between Reddington and Keene that spilled off-screen.
You have to believe me.
On screen, Raymond Reddington and Elizabeth Keene shared one of the most complex relationships in television, a dance between love, manipulation, and betrayal. But what fans didn't know was that the same tension burning on screen was quietly unfolding behind the scenes. James Spader, who played Reddington, was a perfectionist, deliberate, methodical, surgical. Every line he delivered was rehearsed to precision. Boone, on the other hand, thrived on emotion and spontaneity. She wanted connection, he wanted control. The result was a chemistry so real, it blurred fiction and reality. Crew members described the air between them as electric and cold at the same time. They could light up a scene together and then walk off in silence. As seasons went on, that silence grew louder. Reports from insiders say Spader often requested shooting schedules that minimized joint rehearsals, while Boone pushed for emotional authenticity, something he resisted. By the time season 8 wrapped, Boone made a shocking decision: to leave. No grand farewell, no post-finale interviews. She simply walked away, closing the story she carried for 8 years. The bond between Reddington and Keene defined The Blacklist, but off-screen, it became a quiet war. Two brilliant actors locked in an invisible battle between control and chaos. Secret number 3, the real Raymond Reddington conspiracy.
Everything about me is a lie.
For years, The Blacklist kept viewers hooked on one question: who is Raymond Reddington, really? The mystery became more than a story. It turned into an obsession, even among the cast. James Spader, Raymond Reddington, was the only person on set who knew the truth. The show's creator, John Bokenkamp, reportedly told him in private before production began, and no one else. Not even Boone, Elizabeth Keene, his on-screen daughter and the emotional center of the show, was told the real answer until the very end. What most fans don't know is that the original version of the script in 2013 didn't include the twist about Reddington's true identity. That entire idea came months later, when NBC executives pushed for something shocking enough to last a decade. Bokenkamp and Spader collaborated in secret to rewrite the backstory themselves, adding layers of lies, code names, and hidden connections that would change television forever. Behind the camera, this secrecy caused chaos. Writers had to deliver full episodes without understanding the real context of Reddington's identity. Some directors even complained they couldn't frame scenes properly because Spader would improvise lines with double meaning that only he understood. But that's what made The Blacklist so unpredictable. Even its creators were lost in Red's game. And when the truth finally surfaced, it wasn't just the audience that was stunned. It was the crew, the cast, and even the editors who pieced together a puzzle that had been hidden in plain sight since day one. Secret number 4, the FBI didn't want this story told. Most fans don't realize The Blacklist wasn't just about the FBI, it was built with the FBI, and later, against their wishes. When production began in 2013, NBC proudly announced that the show had official FBI consultants helping shape the details. from Raymond Reddington's criminal psychology to Harold Cooper's Harry Lennox command structure. But by season 2, the real FBI reportedly became uncomfortable with how the show portrayed corruption and manipulation inside its own ranks. According to several interviews, Harry Lennox, who actually trained with FBI advisors for his role, admitted that parts of the script were toned down or completely rewritten after federal advisors objected. The issue? The scripts got too close to real internal scandals and covert programs that mirrored real cases. Even more surprising, one writer later confessed in a podcast that certain Blacklist storylines had to be vetted by studio lawyers to avoid unintentionally referencing classified material. In other words, some of the conspiracies in the show weren't entirely fictional. During this period, Ryan Eggold, Tom Keene, reportedly joked on set that their prop weapons and files looked too real, and that agents could walk in at any time thinking it was evidence. That paranoia spread through the set, especially during scenes in the task force office. Over time, the show leaned away from realism and towards symbolic, emotional storytelling, but it started with a foundation so authentic it made actual agents nervous. So while fans saw thrilling drama about spies and double lives, The Blacklist was quietly walking a line between fiction and federal sensitivity, a show the FBI once helped build, but later wanted to keep its distance from. Secret number 5, the psychological toll on Elizabeth Keene. Behind every great performance is a human cost, and The Blacklist pushed its lead actress, Megan Boone, further than most people realize. When The Blacklist premiered in 2013, Boone was relatively new to the spotlight. She wasn't a household name like James Spader, Raymond Reddington, but she quickly became the emotional center of the story. Elizabeth Keene wasn't just an FBI profiler, she was a character drowning in secrets, betrayal, and shifting loyalties. To play that convincingly, Boone immersed herself into what psychologists call method empathy, emotionally syncing with her character's trauma. That meant isolating herself before intense scenes, writing journals as Liz, and even changing her posture and breathing to match her mental state. But over time, that immersion came with side effects. Crew members have quietly mentioned that during the height of season 3, when Liz fakes her death, Boone would finish emotional takes and sit alone in silence between scenes, refusing small talk just to stay in character. In interviews years later, she admitted the role affected her personally, saying, "I carried Liz with me home every day, and she wasn't easy to live with." The emotional toll became so heavy that by the later seasons, Boone reportedly began pushing for more balanced storylines, wanting to explore Liz's growth and motherhood instead of just her trauma. That creative tension eventually led to her departure before the final season. What fans saw as a dramatic exit was, in truth, a moment of healing an actress finally stepping out of a role that blurred the line between fiction and identity. In the end, The Blacklist gave us one of television's most complex female leads, but it also revealed the unseen price of bringing her to life. Secret number 6 in Dembe Zuma, the shadow who walked beside Red.
Raymond! Ours is a friendship forged once in this life. Goodbye, my brother.
Before Raymond Reddington ever whispered a plan into Dembe Zuma's ear, there was a story much darker than loyalty. Dembe wasn't just a bodyguard, he was a sole survivor. In The Blacklist, Reddington once described finding Dembe half dead in a shipping container, sold into slavery at 14. It sounded like fiction, but the eerie truth? It was inspired by reality, not of the character, but of the man behind him. Hisham Taufik, the actor who brought Dembe to life, was born and raised in Harlem, New York. Before Hollywood, he wasn't an actor at all. He was a Marine, a New York City firefighter, and a man who literally ran into burning buildings before ever walking onto a set. When he auditioned for The Blacklist, he was only meant to appear in one episode, a silent bodyguard with barely a line. But James Spader saw something different. According to interviews, Spader personally requested that Taufik be kept, saying, "That man has presence. Keep him close." What followed was one of the most subtle yet powerful friendships in TV history, a wordless trust that carried weight. Behind the scenes, Taufik would often tell producers that he used his own real trauma to play Dembe's stillness. He lost fellow firefighters on September 11th. He served in Somalia. He said, "I know what it's like to stand still while the world burns," but not everything about Dembe's story made it to the screen. NBC executives reportedly pushed back on the early drafts that explored Dembe's African origins. The original scripts hinted at child soldier trauma and real-world smuggling. The network cut it down, fearing it was too dark for primetime. Even Hisham himself once said in an interview, "There's a lot about Dembe that you'll never see. The truth would have been too heavy." When Season 8 made Dembe an FBI agent, fans were divided, but for Taufik, it was closure. He said the transformation symbolized survival, from slave to protector, from soldier to agent. Dembe wasn't just Reddington's shadow, he was his conscience. And in a series built on crime and deception, he might have been the only man who truly had a soul. Secret number 7. The love that wasn't supposed to exist. Aram and Navabi's hidden story. Sometimes the lightest moments in the Blacklist came from two people who were never meant to exist together. Aram Mojtabai, the nervous, brilliant tech analyst. Samar Navabi, the fierce Mossad assassin turned FBI agent. They were total opposites. But what most fans don't know is that their romance wasn't planned. It was an accident written into the show after one unscripted moment changed everything. During early filming, Aram was known for improvising, adding awkward humor and humanity to an otherwise dark script. In Season 2, while shooting a tense scene, Navabi really laughed, breaking character for a split second. Writers noticed the chemistry, and within weeks they began rewriting future episodes to include subtle tension between the two. It was never supposed to happen, but audiences noticed, and NBC took advantage of it. Behind the scenes, Amir and Mojan developed a real friendship. He often said in interviews that she brought out his confidence on set. She once told TV Insider, "We were each other's anchors in a very intense environment. Aram's warmth and Samar's discipline, that was us too." But there's a darker side to that bond. By Season 6, Mojan decided to leave the show, quietly. Fans thought it was because of Samar's illness storyline. But in truth, she'd grown frustrated with how her character's arc was being handled. According to insiders, she'd fought to make Samar stronger, less of a romantic subplot and more of a survivor. NBC disagreed. When she announced her exit, Amir was reportedly heartbroken. He said in one interview, "It felt like I lost my scene partner, but also part of Aram's soul." Their final goodbye, Aram kissing Samar goodbye as she disappears into hiding, was filmed in complete silence. The tears were real. There was no second take. And that's the secret most people never realized. It wasn't acting. It was farewell. Secret number 8. The ghost in the mirror, the truth behind Katarina Rostova. Before she was the ghost that haunted Liz's dreams, Katarina Rostova was the center of the Blacklist's greatest lie. The woman we thought we knew, Russian spy, mother, and fugitive, was never truly real. Or at least, not in the way the show first told us. For years, fans believed that Katarina died, that she walked into the ocean after betraying her country. But what if that story was only a cover? What if Katarina was never the victim, but the architect of everything? According to creator Jan Bokenkamp, the writers intentionally rewrote her identity multiple times throughout the series. In early drafts, Katarina Rostova was supposed to appear in Season 3, played by Lotte Verbeek, who embodied her in flashbacks. But when the show extended past its planned arc, NBC pushed to keep the mystery alive. That's when the story shifted, and Katarina became a legend. When Layla Robbins joined the show in Season 7 as the new Katarina, fans were confused. Was she really Liz's mother? Was she an imposter? The cast wasn't told the truth either. In interviews, Layla admitted that even she didn't know if her character was the real Katarina. She said, "I played it as if she believed she was Katarina. That was the only way to make sense of the story." Behind the scenes, this confusion wasn't accidental. Writers wanted the audience to feel the same paranoia Liz felt, never knowing what was real. Even James Spader reportedly pushed for the ambiguity, believing that clarity would ruin the mythology. He once told Collider, "Katarina isn't a person. She's an idea that everyone bends to fit their truth." But the deeper secret? Katarina's arc was rewritten 3 times. In one early version, she was meant to return in Season 5, reveal herself to Liz, and die saving her. NBC scrapped it because test audiences wanted Reddington's mystery to stay central, so they created the fake Katarina storyline, fracturing the narrative intentionally. That's why to this day, no one, not even the actors, can tell you who the real Katarina Rostova is, because maybe she never existed. Secret number 9, the betrayal of Mr. Kaplan, loyalty buried in blood.
Eternity.
She cleaned up Reddington's messes, literally and figuratively. Mr. Kaplan, whose real name was Catherine Nemec, wasn't a hitman or a criminal. She was a caretaker, a protector, a woman who spent her life covering up other people's sins, not because she wanted to, but because she believed in one thing, protecting Elizabeth Keene. But her loyalty became her curse. Behind the scenes, Reddington's world depended on her precision, the one who made bodies disappear and erased every trace of guilt. For years, she was his ghost in the shadows, until one day, she saw too much. In Season 4, Reddington's betrayal of Mr. Kaplan shocked even his closest allies. He shot her, not out of hatred, but fear. Fear of what she knew and who she could expose. Yet, like every buried secret in the Blacklist, she refused to stay down. Actress Susan Blomayert revealed in interviews that she had no idea her character would survive that gunshot. The writers themselves decided weeks later to resurrect her because the audience's reaction was overwhelming. The fans needed justice, and so Mr. Kaplan returned, scarred, silent, and unstoppable. She became Reddington's mirror, his conscience, his undoing. Her arc wasn't just revenge, it was redemption through exposure. Every secret she unearthed was a confession he never wanted to make. In many ways, Mr. Kaplan wasn't Reddington's enemy, she was his truth. By the end, her suicide wasn't defeat. It was her final act of control, taking her fate back from the man who took everything else. Her story is the tragedy at the heart of the Blacklist. Loyalty turned lethal. Secret number 10, the identity of Raymond Reddington, the secret they'll never admit. From the very first episode, the Blacklist gave us one unbreakable mystery. Who is Raymond Reddington? For nearly a decade, fans watched him outsmart the FBI, dismantle criminal empires, and save the one person he loved most, Elizabeth Keene. But beneath every alias, every coded conversation, one truth haunted the entire show. Reddington isn't who he says he is. Behind the scenes, this question divided not only fans, but even the writers themselves. According to interviews with creator John Bokenkamp, Reddington's identity was rewritten multiple times throughout the series. Early drafts revealed him as the real Reddington, a criminal who faked his death. Later scripts reimagined him as Ilya Kozlov, a KGB agent who took Reddington's identity. And by season 8, the truth twisted once more. Reddington might be Katarina Rostova herself, reborn in disguise. But here's what most people don't know. James Spader, the man behind the hat, was the only actor who truly knew what version they would film each season. Writers built around his performance, not the other way around. That's why Spader's portrayal is so layered. The hesitation, the compassion, the way he speaks to Liz like both a mentor and a parent. It's not just acting, it's intention. Even the wardrobe told a story. Costume designer Christine Bean revealed that Reddington's suits gradually shifted from sharp and dark in early seasons to softer, more European tailoring as his identity evolved, subtly hinting at the blurred gender and psychological duality of who he truly was. By the time the series ended, the writers never gave a definitive answer, and that was the point. The Blacklist isn't about unmasking Reddington, it's about understanding what identity means when you've lived too many lives. Maybe Reddington isn't one person at all. Maybe he's an idea, the cost of becoming someone powerful enough to protect those you love, no matter what you lose in the process. And maybe that's the real secret the Blacklist was hiding all along. In the end, the Blacklist wasn't just about crime or secrets, it was about identity, sacrifice, and the cost of redemption. Raymond Reddington didn't just surrender to the FBI, he surrendered to his past. If you enjoyed uncovering these dark secrets, make sure to subscribe, because the truth never really ends here.